In this game, winners win, and I only back winners. Trainer Kenny McPeak is a proven winner, and his horses are in my portfolio. And now they can be in yours too. McPeak's champion horses and Derby hopefuls are now featured on Morning Line. With Morning Line, I don't just watch the race. I own the moment. I invest in champions. This is my edge. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Morning Line. Own the game.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. I'm Gino Buccola alongside producer Lucia and Mike Beer helping us out as we preview the Grade 3 Royal Delta on Saturday over at Gulfstream Park. It's going to go as race number 11. I want to let all of you know that we are in the middle of a Daily Racing Form sale right now. The President's Day sale can get you 15% off when you head to the DRF shop over at shop.drf.com. Use that coupon code PRES26 to get all of the savings. Morningline.io is the official sponsor of this preview. Unlock access to some of racing's most coveted bloodlines, mares and colts connected to championship pedigrees. Morningline is a private SEC-regulated marketplace where approved participants can trade licensed interests in elite racehorses. No ongoing costs. Build your stable only at morningline.io. Mike, here's a look at the field for the Grade 3 Royal Delta. As we record this early in the week, we don't have morning line odds yet for it, but I do think the number 4, Shred the Gnar, going to take a lot of support in here. This is a very, very talented filly, newly turned 4-year-old filly. She's 3 for 4. Her only loss came in her career debut when she was beaten neck, and that was sprinting. So everything since she's gone a mile plus, she's won all 3 of those races.
Looked really good winning those races too. Gino obviously has a lot of talent. She's a filly who's pretty exciting here going into the her 4-year-old campaign, because it feels like she has a chance to really play at the top of this handicap division for the fillies and mares. So we'll see what she does here. It's not like she's got a little layoff to deal with here, and it's not like she returns in an easy spot.
No, and she's been very good on the front end, too. So when we look at the Timeform US pace projector, we're always going to ask the question, is she the type of horse that needs the lead? If she gets pushed up front, will she be able to deal with that pressure and then kick on? Let's see what Timeform US thinks as far as the pace projector is concerned for this one. They have Shred the Gnar up front. They have Senza Parole pushing her. She's been one that's sat off a little bit more, but I mean, from the inside, Alpine Princess, she doesn't want to be too far off of it. All of her best races are when she's on the lead or sitting very close. Nothing Like You is another one, Mike, who is a multiple graded stakes winner, did some really good work in the Baffert barn in Southern California, but she also wants to be really, really close and not too far out of it. So I think a lot of these horses do their best running, whether they're on the lead or maybe sitting really close to it.
It'll be interesting to see how some of these riders decide to play, because you're 100% right that there are horses in here that are forwardly inclined anyway. I don't know that all of them are, necessarily speed type horses, but they're very tactical. So it's not like Shred the Gnar can get loose in here. I also just felt like, as far as the pace goes anyway, to me, Dazzling Move is the horse. She's the number 5. I mean, to me, she's a speed horse to me. If she doesn't make leaders not involved, she just doesn't run her best race. So I'd kind of be surprised if Sappy Joseph didn't want her to be involved early.
Especially going a little bit longer, right? Sometimes when they cut back to sprints, she can be off the pace, but when they stretch back out, going a mile minus 16th, usually see her pushing it. Let's meet the field for the Grade 3 Royal Delta, $175,000 purse. This one's going to go as race number 11 on Saturday, Valentine's Day, over at Gulfstream Park. The number 1, Alpine Princess, is a Grade 3 winner, is a multiple stakes winner, and is coming up on $1 million in earnings. The recent form is very good. I mean, you look at the last 6 races, they're all in the money finishes. They're all pretty good efforts. And the most recent one was the win in the Falls City. She got the lead, then was sitting second behind Corningstone. Those two really kind of dictated the race, though. She was able to wear down Corningstone late. So she can sit off a little bit. She can pass some horses. What do we do with the Alpine Princess from the rail?
I mean, you got to take her chances really seriously. I think her overall form just makes her a solid contender in here. I can't say that, I've ever been her biggest fan, Gino. But listen, she's always shows up and runs her race. And so she has that going for her. I think finally got the graded stakes win last time. I think she was like 0 for 6 or 0 for 7 and graded stakes races before that last one. And she just got a great trip in that race. And it also kind of like, I don't want to take anything away from her because she's been a good horse for a long time, but it kind of felt like there were a couple of horses in there who just didn't show up at all. she got a perfect trip and got the job done. She's fine. She can win here, but she's also probably not going to be much of a price. And I just prefer other horses.
Yeah, the way that you described her is almost how I felt about her over the last couple of years. Like, she always shows up. I very rarely bet her. A lot of times I think she's kind of underlaid, but I do respect her, right? She goes out every time and she shows up now and she's in probably career best form. I just think that there are probably more appealing horses at a better price, or if you're going to go for a shorter price, I'd probably prefer Shred the Gnar. So I just kind of didn't really find her all that appealing, but underneath type, for sure. And the more and more I see her, like, I appreciate horses like this that can hang around for a couple years at the graded stakes level and be solid. We move to Senza Parole, kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. She's awesome in her career debut. She wins by 7. She earns a huge 94 buyer speed figure. Then she's off for a year. And it felt like last year it took a couple starts for her to kind of get back to her best race. And then we saw it towards the end of the year in November. Then she comes right back in her first start as a 4-year-old in January at Gulfstream Park. It was a very nice effort. She's able to sit 4th, 5th. She pushes up to 3rd inside. Just looked really handy in that race, Mike. It was a great comeback race and a way to start your season.
Yeah, this is really impressive stuff here. She did sit a good trip in this race, but you could just tell around the turn that she was going to win this race. And she just settles it so quickly. Once she got on top of the leader at the top of this race, she just settled it so quickly and just aired on that field. And, this improvement, you're right. She probably needed a couple races off the layoff. The improvement in her last 2 starts, and I also feel like she ran really well, 2 back at Aqueduct. It didn't come out of nowhere, as you pointed out, because that was a wow debut that she made as a 2-year-old. And, remember after that, I think she was 3-5 on the morning line in the grade 1 Frizette after that, but she had to scratch it. She missed a bunch of times. So she's cut out to be a good horse. She's finally putting it all together for Chad Brown. Obviously this is a step up in class for her. So she's got that to prove, but I think you also, distance is a little bit of a question for her. I think, it's not like she has some kind of huge pedigree to stretch out, but man, has she been impressive and does she have a lot of talent?
Next up is the Goddess of Law, Eunomia, who has won back-to-back races, looking for 3 in a row. But the last win came a couple months ago now, so about 2 months since that December 13th victory. That was over at Tampa. She was a step slow, then up to second, the 2-path. Was set down at the top of the lane, held on. The problem that I have with the race, it's not the actual race itself, but she was 1-9 that day. And I think that really shows you how strong the field was. So this will be a pretty sizable step up for Eunomia in here, looking for the 3rd straight win.
That's how I felt about her too. Listen, her last 2 races are good, and obviously they're the 2 best races of her career. So if you're going to step up and try a graded race, I guess you do it while you're in form like this. If I was going to make a case for her, Gino, I'm with you on the last race. It was fine, but I wasn't blown away by it. If I was going to make a case for her, it would be off of her performance 2 back at Keeneland, where I just thought that she ran really well, and the horses that finished 2nd, 3rd, and 4th behind her all came back to win and really nice performances. So that feels like a legit effort, and she got a good trip in that race, and she might get a good trip in this race.
Yeah, she might be a trip out kind of horse, right? Yeah. She kind of sits into it and falls into it if she can sit right behind the leaders. So one of those leaders might be the next one, Shred the Gnar, who just missed in the career debut, going 6 furlongs. That was back about a year ago at Gulfstream Park. Since then, 3 consecutive races, open length victories, 6+ lengths, 7+ lengths. And then against the tougher field in the Chaluki, still handled them easily, winning that thing by 2 lengths, earning a 98 buyer speed figure. She's just tough to knock overall, Mike. She looks really solid.
Yeah, her races are all good. And you can go back and, pull any of the replays of even her debut where she just missed. She ran really well in all of those races. The one time that they did get her around 2 turns on Oaks Day last year, right before the layoff, she was super impressive. I know that she got sort of control of that pace, but man, she was so impressive winning that race. And she comes back off of a long layoff in a grade 3 last time and just wins, really easily against a good field. The talent is clearly there. Whether or not you want to take a short price on her against this field, that's your call, because I think you're right. She's probably going to take a lot of money in here, but this filly can run, and I'm expecting her to have a pretty big year this year.
Yeah, I agree. We move to Dazzling Move. That was last year's winner, grade 3 winner. Just not in the best of form though right now. Yeah. It's like 4 races in a row where she really hasn't been all that close, Mike. And I've played her a few times. I like her in certain spots, but I'm having a tough time building a case for her in here.
Yeah, me too. Her last 2 races especially are really concerning to me. If only, and maybe I'm just wrong about this, but I watch her run, I feel like shorter distances are better for her. And so I kind of like the idea of Safi going, 1 turn mile, 7 pro. It's like that could probably work for her. And she's just been bad in both of those races.
We move to Nothing Like You. She feels like the real wild card in this race. She's going to come into the Brendan Walsh barn for the first time. We haven't seen her race since September, and all of her races were previously in the Bob Baffert barn, and she has a couple big victories. She won the Grade 2 Starlet by 5+.
Yeah.
She won the Santa Anita Oaks by 7+, earned a 91 by her speed figure in that one. But I will say, her victories have been in pretty good spots where she's sitting really close, sitting just off the lead, not having difficult trips to deal with. She may have more pace and just a tougher foe like Shred the Gnar in here. But I do think she is legitimate. You know, she has a high ceiling, which is really nice. Like, she is capable of big efforts. And Brendan Walsh is certainly a barn and a trainer that can get horses ready to fire off a little bit of a layoff or new faces. What do we do with this gal, Mike?
Yeah, I thought she was a pretty tough call in here. I can't say that I love any of her races, but I recognize that she's got, 2, 3, 4 efforts on her card that would give her at least some kind of chance in this race. I think the longer I looked at her, I just decided this might not be the right spot to bring her back in, because this is a really, really strong field. And I also just feel like even if she runs, let's just say the best race that she's run is the Santa Anita Oaks when she won that as a 3-year-old. If she runs that race in here, I don't think she's beating this field.
I still think that's third, maybe. I think
Yeah.
she could finish third or so if she runs that same type of race. And then maybe she can step forward off of that and we can take a look to play her next time out. But I agree, she's a wild card and she might get bet a little bit. We move to Drexel Hill. She's, to me, a little bit interesting. She's lightly raced. She doesn't have a whole lot of bad races on her card, Mike. And you look at her, she was second in the Kentucky Oaks. Coming out of that Kentucky Oaks, she was off for from May to November, shows back up in November behind a very sharp, fully subscribed. And then a couple months later, she starts her 4-year-old season in the Wayward Lass. It wasn't like a strong field or anything. She was fourth. She was 3 deep. She moved up outside. She drew off. It was just a good starting spot for her to move forward. I've never really been sure how good she is, but this is kind of an interesting spot for her to sort of class up and see where she stacks.
I like the way that you put that. I haven't really been sure how good she is either. She's run some really good races though. And I feel like I probably was held back more than anything by her Kentucky Oaks. She ran great in the Oaks, but I just felt like she took advantage a little bit in there of a really big pace. And she came along for second at the end. I just wasn't sure how well she ran in there, but I'm not going to knock what she's done out of that race. Her 2 races since then are good. The race that we just watched there, her first start as a 4-year-old at Tampa. I mean, how could you knock that performance? She's wide all the way around the track. And I know she was a short price. It wasn't a great field, but she's just wide all the way around the track and beats that field pretty handily at the end. There's still, I think there's still room to improve for her too. She's a pretty interesting horse there. And doesn't it kind of feel like she might be the one who gets a little bit lost in the shuffle here and goes off at a decent price?
I think so. And, I go both ways with horses like this because her last 3 or 4 races have all had a little bit of a layoff after them. And sometimes horses like this, they run really hard and they need the time in between. But other times when they can string a couple races together, you really see that fitness in that bottom. And I'm wondering if she's that type where now we have a month back after that last start. She's going to be a little more fit than we've seen her in any of her last few races. I think she has a chance to step up and run really well in here. The key is Shred the Gnar needs to get pushed. Someone has to go up there and soften up Shred the Gnar, and then maybe she's one of the horses that can capitalize. We round things out with Clara Beret, who is multiple graded stakes placed. She came into the Safi Joseph Jr. barn and had a monster effort, really 2 monster efforts. That Chicago race behind Vava was not bad at all. Following that, lackluster effort. She did bounce back in her last few with better races. The third behind Grand Job to start last time out was not bad. Grand Job dominated that field and got a pretty good trip that day. What do you think about this one rounding out the field?
Yeah, I'm just not sure how I feel about her stretching out, especially she's going to have to probably run the best race of her life, and she's going to have to do it back out of her. I know that she's won going this distance before at Oaklawn, but that was a different kind of a race here. I just think she's going to have to run the race of her life. She's going to have to do it stretching out in distance here. That's not for me.
We move to selections. Mike, how do you want to stack them up here for the Royal Delta?
Yeah, I feel like I just took the easy way out here, Gino. I put Shred the Gnar on top. I'm just expecting, again, I'm expecting her to be really, really good this year. This could be the right kind of spot to get her started back. And I thought long and hard about putting Senza Parole on top because I really like the direction she's headed in. I'm just not convinced that she's going to be a great price in here. And I would prefer to take a short price on the 4 rather than the 2.
I agree completely on that. I think Shred the Gnar is hands down the horse to beat in here. I do wonder that maybe if you're looking for some value, it could be Drexel Hill in this spot. I think we have the exact same 4 horses, just in a slightly different order. I put the 7 on top for Mike 4217. For me, 7421. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and drop a comment in below. Are you with Mike on Shred the Gnar? You're going to look for a little more value. Whoever you play, however you play them, we wish you the best of luck.